an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Spoil Me, covering One Piece, episodes 166, 167, and 168. Festival on the night before gold hunting. Feelings for vearth. Feelings for vearth is a weird one. I don't think I noticed that the first time. And then enter God Eneru. Farewell to the survivors. And then lastly, a giant snake bares its fangs. The survival game begins. I will tell you guys, to be honest, I didn't really think when they said a giant snake bares its fangs that they meant literally a giant snake would bare its fangs, but they do. They mean it very literally. Welcome to Spoil Me. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha. Thank you very much. Is it Florian this episode? I just realized that I didn't check. I think it's Gabriela, actually. Yes, today, thank you, Gabriela. And they are here after having missed a couple of episodes, so I'm delighted to have you back. I'm really enjoying this weird arc. I really like this one. And we'll see, because it feels like sometimes with this show, I will start off liking an arc and then they just don't know when to let it die. And, then I start to get kind of lukewarm on it towards the end. But as of right now, I'm just finding it kind of compelling the way that they have decided to have there be this backstory with this whole island thing going on. And it turns out that the people who were attacking initially, I keep thinking of him as an evil surfer, but he's not evil. It turns out they have a very valid complaint because they basically are a native people that had their land stolen from them. That feels, eventually I think Usopp or Chopper just straight up says to Gan Fall, so wait, that means you're the bad guys? And Gan Fall is just yep. And I have to admit, I admire the fact that he just straight up says yeah. Because so many people would be not exact, kind, yeah. No, yeah, you're the bad guys. It's fine. Sometimes you have to admit in life you were the baddie. And there's no way to move forward unless you admit that to yourself. I've been there. So let's back it up and start from the beginning. Festival on the night before gold hunting. Feelings for vearth. Now, feelings for vearth is a kind of a weird part of this title. I don't really get that. It might be just a weird translation. But vearth is essentially just earth, right? And they call it vearth for whatever reason. Maybe it's because they overheard the actual native people talking about it and they just misheard and they decided to call it by the thing that they decided it was called, which honestly is a very colonizer move to hear the native pronunciation and be yeah, but we don't quite like that. So we're just going to make up a new thing that sounds almost the same, but isn't really the same. And what it is here is that all of the, gorillas are the Shandorans, and I really do wonder where that name came from, but they are fighting the priests and it's not going super well for them at all. What I think is interesting about getting some backstory this episode, or these episodes I should say, is that we don't really find a way to, or we don't really find out where the priests and Eneru come from. It just sort of says that they appeared, and I think that's, on purpose. We're probably going to find out eventually, but that's what I'm deeply curious about is what is going on with those guys? Then where did they come from? How did they get up here? How did any of that happen? Sorry, let's see. Florian says, it is about Gan Fall talking about Earth. I think that's what the title means. Feeling, I can't even remember what it is now. Gus says, I thought your translation was Vars. You were wrong. Sorry, Gus. Florian says, or wants to hint at. Maybe that's what they mean. Seraphim says, the term vearth came from before Jaya came up, but yes, it's just likely them mishearing the word Earth. Okay. And it came up before Jaya came up. So they had, like, experienced Earth before having an island that arrived, essentially. Because that was what made it be, like, holy. Was the fact that they already revered vearth. And then this entire island appeared and they were like, well, obviously this is a fucking miracle. Which honestly, like, yeah. That'd be like if we just had a gold island suddenly turn up. Can you imagine? Everybody would just be like, okay, well, clearly this is actual heaven. The streets are paved with gold used to be like the kind of thing that we would say to exaggerate how great a place was. But yeah. So like I said, Shandorans are not doing great in this fight. And Laki specifically has a bag full of vearth that is draining while she's in the middle of this fight. And she gets very, like, possessive of it in a way that I found really interesting because there's, like, it's just so odd to me how possessive she is of it when they are actually on the island right now in the midst of all of this. And it feels like she could take so much, but I just don't, like, I think I'm just not quite getting the mindset that she has around it. And because she's sort of, like, preoccupied with the fact that all of this is draining out of the bag, she gets, she puts herself in a situation where she has to be saved by Kamakiri, who winds up pretty badly injured as a result. And it's clear, like, later on that Viper blames her for Kamakiri's injury. And essentially it's like, you were so distracted by this bag of dirt that you let one of our best people almost get taken down. And I can't be, like, totally mad about it, but also it really feels like Laki has a better grasp on what is important to everyone. Because Viper, he says he's fighting for their people to get their land back. And I do believe that that is the intention, but it doesn't feel like he's doing it in a way where he's fighting for everyone. It feels like I'm fighting because my ego says that I need to win against these guys. It's not about the right or wrongness of the situation, and it's not about caring for his people. It's just about the winning. And you get the impression kind of from his overall attitude about everything that no matter what situation they had wound up in, like whether or not they had been on a piece of island that flew into this, like, he just seems to be an angry dude that is going to be, like, picking a fight no matter where he is. And that is not to diminish anything about what he is fighting for here. Because, like I said, he's in the right. But there are just some people like that who thrive on conflict and who are drawn to fighting for a cause because it gives them a place to channel that energy where they would otherwise simply be walking around with that exact same energy undirected. And so it feels like a useful occupation, and they decide, okay, I'm going to believe in this thing, and this is going to be where I pour all of that in, like, that whole force into. And honestly, like, there's a part of me that appreciates that because it's at least directed towards the actual, like, enemy. But he is so willing to sacrifice everybody for the sake of this dream in a way that doesn't seem like it's necessary. It just seems like he wants to make a point. And there's almost a search for like glory in it. Like we can, tell this grand story about how all of our men went down, but we went down fighting on this one day. And it doesn't seem like he's really trying to explore options where they just like try anything else, literally, So it's a weird thing where I get where he's coming from and he's not wrong. But a lot about the way he's choosing to handle this feels really immature. And it feels like he just doesn't persuade. It doesn't feel like he's so much a leader as he is kind of a bully. And I feel like Lockie is sort of on the outskirts of this with a better understanding of the priorities of these people and a more grounded approach. And he isn't listening to her. And eventually it's going to become clear they should have been listening to her. Because there's like a couple times where she brings up alternative action and he basically like tries to say, well, if you're not with us, then don't come. And it's like, she's not saying she's not with you. She is saying there's a better way to do this. And you're interpreting any pushback whatsoever as like disloyalty. And that is such a bad place to come from as a leader. Like there are times when you are leading a group of people, there are times where you do have to maintain a completely unified front. And one of your advisors deciding to sort of like argue with you in front of everybody needs to be nipped in the bud, and you have to put them in their place and make an example of them to everybody else. But that is a different thing. That is when somebody in particular is pushing you in a particular way and it feels like they have an agenda in the way they're doing it. This is like, she's just trying to talk common sense to him. And because she's presenting an alternate way for all of this to go, he just resents it because he wants this fight. And her trying to be like, well, maybe we don't have to fight, though. He doesn't want to hear it. He wants the fight. Why would he listen to her? So it's just like, it's a interesting thing because it's sort of like a tender topic for me at the moment with how much is happening out in the world with people like really starting to demand significant change. And there being people who are like low-key revolutionary, and the temptation to just be like, well, they're just angry. And on the one, well, maybe they are. And like, you get to be angry when there's injustice. That's like, not only do you get to, but you should. If you're not, I feel like that's more of a problem. So I don't want to make it sound like I'm just dismissing him by saying, well, he's just an angry guy. But if you're going to try and fight for a thing, make sure you're actually fighting for the thing. And you're not just like fighting and then maybe going to get the thing in the end, but that's not actually really the point. So anyway, long way around this to say that I appreciate his cause and I do enjoy him to a point, but he shouldn't be in the place he is in this community. He should be a general being told what to do by somebody with a more level head and appreciation of like diplomacy and the big picture. Put him in charge of the fighters and have him train them and demand the best of them. That would be a great spot for him. But actually being in charge, that's not the place for him. So anyway, okay. So they're in the midst of their fight. And then we go back to our little friends, and they are making camp and searching in the woods for food while Luffy is like purifying the water that they are going to be filling the drinking canteens with. It's a very interesting thing because the way that they show the water purifying, I'm very curious how this works. I think the word that Sanji uses is distill. And what I think is so fascinating here is just the fact that we haven't ever really seen any of this in terms of like the overall logistics of their travel. we have always seen them finding fresh water or, like buying whatever they needed. But we've never seen them like having to distill water from salt water. And what it looks like is a pot on the fire that's got a bowl in like a sort of like a bain-marie that you would use to melt like chocolate in or something. But instead in the bowl, there is what looks like a like wad of fabric or something that is gently steaming. I don't understand how this works exactly, but I am very curious if any of you know, because this feels like a valuable skill to have, knowing how to distill like fresh drinking water from salt water. Let's see. Seraphim says, from what I understood, Viper is just technically the leader of their fighters, and there is a village elder who's technically in charge, but Viper just has so much sway with so much of the tribe that he ended up being the one everyone listens to anyway. Okay, I don't know if we met that village elder or not. He mentions somebody who's like the statue, but otherwise I don't feel like we've really seen anybody like try and rein him in. Unless he just bulldozes over them so completely that I didn't notice them, which is certainly possible. But yeah, so that's the job that Luffy has been assigned, to fill up the canteens. Sanji is making food. He is making little heart-shaped carrots, but he seems like mad about it when later on Usopp comments on how he goes the extra mile making the heart-shaped carrots. And I'm like, don't be mad, man. Look, I know it wasn't for Usopp, but he's pointing out that you're really working hard, and I feel like you should just appreciate that. And once Chopper and Zoro come back, we found walnuts, aloe, bananas, garlic, and rats and frogs. And he says it all goes in the pot. And Nami is like, that is disgusting. Do you really expect us to eat that? Look, Nami, I don't know where you have been for the entirety of Sanji's sojourn with you all, but has he ever made a meal that y'all haven't, like, devoured? Because, frankly, you don't get to say anything. You have a problem with what he's putting in that pot, you come over here and cook, okay? That's all I'm saying. And I may have an attitude about this because as the one who is always doing the cooking everywhere I go all the time, I get a little bit salty about people trying to second guess what I am about to make. If you want to argue with me about it, you can come over and you can show me what you can do. If you are not able to do this, then shut your mouth and you will eat what I give you. Thank you. Bye. So this, this little like episode is really kind of more of a respite for our guys. There's like, some interludes of action, but mostly what we've got is a campfire, a meal, and a party. And I think that it's due. This show does this periodically, where after our friends have been through like a series of tough days in a row, we will get a big, like, kind of relaxing scene where they get to feast, they get to chill. Maybe if they're in Alabasta, they get to just hang out in the bathhouse. And so this was fun because it's just, again, all of them getting to just hang out together and we get to see their personalities. I love at one point, Robin comes in and she's just carrying a giant salt crystal that's like the size of a like UPS box. I don't even know why I said that because a UPS box could be any size, but you know what I'm saying. And Chopper is using the supplies to make like some cures for Gan Fall, who winds up being pretty much fine by the end of this trio of episodes. He is almost completely recovered. So yeah, they're in the midst of cooking and everybody is eating and celebrating. And as they are just kind of like letting their guard down, all of a sudden, they start talking about Noland and what he said about the City of Gold. And it turns out, and I think Gus mentioned this like last episode, he was like, did we get to that part yet? That there are two halves of this map that add up to more information than anybody else has had in the past. And that is why these guys are going to be the first ones to discover the secret about this piece of Jaya in the air, because nobody else had all of the information. They all had part of it. And I know that this is super not of consequence, but guys, Nami has glasses on in this scene, and she has her hair in these like little pigtails. And I am not lying when I tell you I was waiting the whole episode for Sanji to say anything about how cute Nami looks in her glasses. He never says a goddamn word about it. I was almost offended. Sanji, your girl is out here like with a look. She's got a new look. I mean, have some respect. Say something. You know, God. Sir. I don't, like, it's not like she's trying for him, but he's out here always noticing all of her change-ups and allegedly waiting on her. Maybe you should be more appreciative of the variety of aesthetics that she can pull off. I'm just saying, like, it's not just the glasses too. It's like her little pigtails, and she's got them like, it's not just elastics. She's got like these little, like, almost bracelet things that are holding. It's a very cute look. I really feel like I could feel Nami with this look forever. If she decided to go this way, I would not be mad about it. But anyway, so she says, when you match up the location of Cricket's house with the broken part we found up here, this is what Jaya looked like 400 years ago. And we get to see that it's like skull shaped. And it had been said in Nolan's book, like the fortune was in the right eye. So they realize if they like head to that general area, they should be able to find the one structure, as she puts it. No one's found it yet because all the people who have tried have only had one of the maps. I love Usopp, of course. We must be lucky pirates. I'm sorry, I'm hiccuping. But I love how much Usopp will go back and forth between we are absolutely screwed, all doomed, gonna die, to we are the luckiest pirates, wow, we are going to have all the gold. You know, he's flexible. I'll give him that. So as they're talking about all of this, by the way, Gan Fall is awake, and he's just sort of listening in on them. And he winds up like bringing this up to them later once he realizes what they're going to set out to do, because they don't have the history under their belt. So they are not maybe aware that they're thinking about plundering somebody's like homeland, which they may want to think twice about doing, but it doesn't seem like they've decided to think twice about it. I don't know. It's kind of unclear because it ends, you know, after episode 3, they haven't really changed course yet, but maybe they will eventually. So everybody, as the evening wears on, decides that they are going to begin heading out. And I love Robin is like trying to say maybe we should put put the fire out because it's going to draw animals. And Luffy and Usopp have this little conversation amongst the two of them of, I really think that we should try and be nice to her. Like, I understand that she's just trying to do the right thing, but she just doesn't know. Okay, so let's go easy on her. It's not her fault. She's never done this. And eventually they just say, camping isn't camping without a fire. And they are so, like, they're so earnest about this. And they're like on the ground banging their fists, just being like, it's not the same. And to be honest, I agree with them. I understand the dangers. They're correct. But don't try and have me go camping and then not have a fire. Like, no, not going to happen. So eventually, I love it. Zorro comes out and he has like entire trees that he has made an Animal Crossing style bonfire with, like humongous. And then the exact thing they were concerned about comes to pass, which is to say the massive fire draws the attention of some wildlife, namely some wolves. And then we get a weird thing. Guys, all right, look. I am willing to accept this because this is just a thing. And this isn't the only cartoon that I have seen this with. But these wolves, they come in here and they are... Gabriela says, don't try to have me go camping. End of sentence. Honestly, Gabriela, that's where I am at my life currently. There was a time where I found camping pretty fun, but no longer. I need me a fucking mattress, kids. I'm not playing with that. But these wolves are basically like, I don't know who the fuck y'all think you are, coming onto our island, messing up all of our shit, lighting fires, stealing game. This is our territory. You better get out before we make you get out. All of this translated, of course, through Chopper. And then Nami comes up and just punches this wolf. And the wolf just goes, damn, this bitch is hot and tough. Call it off, guys. We're just going to chill with these folks because they have more power than we do here. And then looks at her and is like, you're my kind of angry. What is it with animals wanting to fuck Nami? I don't like it. We had the weird perverted crab that one time. I know that there was another one. There was eyelashes. That's who it was. Lashes was a weird horny camel who was drooling over Nami. It's weird. Have we ever had a female animal drooling over Zorro? If we had that, okay, fine. That would be, But it's just a really weird thing that we're just going to constantly have it be that Nami's feminine wiles work on any species. It doesn't matter. I don't like it. It's weird. It's weird and it's creepy. No. So it's fine because we become friends with the wolves and that's pretty fun. And that seems the wolves apparently brew alcohol, which is okay. Why not? They can dance on their hind legs. So sure, I guess they could brew booze. But yeah, it was definitely one of those moments where he's looking at her and got that grin on his face. And I was just like, oh my God, come on. Let's see. Gabriela says, have we told you Oda married a Nami cosplayer? Theory is ever since the Nami gaze became worse. Oh, wow. A while ago? Did he marry her around this era? When in the run did that happen? Just out of curiosity. That is so funny. Look, far be it from me, as somebody who is literally now married to someone who started off as a podcast listener. That is how Owen and I met. So I really shouldn't throw stones, okay? And I will admit that up front. We met because he was a fan. And now we're married. So, fine. But between this and then Jim Butcher also married somebody that was cosplaying at a convention as a Dresden character. I just can't help but be egos, man. You touch us in the right spot on the ego and it's just all over. I am as susceptible as anybody. Can't help it. Just a cosplayer she also plays Nami in official stage, not just a cosplayer. She also plays Nami in official stage plays. There are stage plays? What? You guys never told me about that. What? Oh my God. Can you guys send me like YouTube of that? I don't want to like go looking for it because I will get spoiled or something, God knows. But if you guys can send me anything about that, I want to know. I mean, how do you even do this show in a play? It'd be hard enough being able to do the show with like CGI in full effect. What? Okay. Let's see. He got married in 2004. This bit was written in 2002. Okay, so it hasn't quite happened yet. The stage plays are Japan only. One Piece is huge over there. Oh, I assumed that they were in Japan, yeah, but I just didn't know that was even a thing at all. Like, that is amazing. Ryan says, One Piece is the most popular anime property in the world. There is essentially every kind of media for it you can imagine. I guess that makes sense. I just really, I really wouldn't have thought a play would be of interest when... I mean, I'm sorry, guys, I'm getting off topic here, and I have more to cover with the show, but are the plays, like, the same plot lines as in the actual manga, or are they like new plots that are outside of the manga? That's kind of what I'm most curious about, is if they're just like, you know, depicting things that people have already seen, or is this like new material, or perhaps like bonusy type material where it's like, well, it's not required, but it will add some richness to XYZ scene if you know about it. Florian says there's also the first One Piece Universal ride in planning, as far as I know. That would be a pretty fun... Like, I had said, guys, that One Piece would make a really good, like, amusement park. And considering how popular it is, I feel like it's kind of surprising nobody has done that already. Because, like, Japan is pretty into amusement parks as well, right? I would expect that to have been a thing. Because, I mean, I haven't seen like a third of the show yet. And there's already so much to work with here in terms of like making different areas of the park and different like rides, or at least different experiences to walk through. And can you imagine like getting like the meat on the bone? That would definitely be one of the snacks, obviously, that you get. It's just like a piece of meat with like a bone sticking out of it, and it would be a plastic bone molded to look like, and probably the meat would be molded around it, sort of like what is it when they shave the meat for like heroes? Be kind of like that, you know. That would be fun though. I mean, it sounds kind of gross, but like honestly, it'd probably be pretty yummy. Get that stuff all mixed up with some spices, almost like a sausage. Why not? Look, I'm just going to think about this, okay? I'm just going to put some thought into it. And if anybody has any contacts with somebody in that industry who wants to get a little bit of a series of ideas, I feel like we could come together on that Discord channel and really come up with some good stuff. So, let's see. Oh, Seraphim says, as far as I can tell, most of the stage plays were just short skits with the characters, but not based on existing plot lines. Okay. Gus says, I haven't seen any of the plays, but all of the movies are non-canon events. I assume the plays are similar. Okay, cool. All right, so back to this. The wolves want to fuck Nami, and they decide that they're all going to party together and get drunk. There's a pretty good moment that I really laughed at, where it's just Zoro chilling on like a tree, like just kind of looking suspiciously over at a wolf that's sitting next to him, and the wolf looking suspiciously back at Zoro, and then they just like clink glasses and like cheers and smile, and then that's like the end of that scene with the two of them, and I found that so charming. I just really enjoyed that. Fun fact, this is from Gus. In an interview hundreds of chapters later, Oda stated that the scene where they're dancing around the fire with the wolves is his third favorite scene in the series. He said that he wrote the Skypiea arc partially just so he could draw this scene. I mean, he didn't need Skypiea to draw this scene, did he? There's so many, like, animals that are sort of sentient, running around in Blue Sea Land. He could certainly have just drawn that whenever. It's fine. I mean, you know, I like it here, don't get me wrong, but it is kind of funny. Like, you could have done this whenever, dude. You had fucking birds that are smug about stealing people's shit on the Alabasta arc. Do what you want. But it is a really, really fun scene. It's just drawn in such a way as to really seem like lively and joyful. And I liked just how much they are allowed to kick back here. And eventually we see like Luffy, he's fallen asleep with his head propped up on a wolf. And the wolf seems like delighted with this because he's very cozy. It's just really cute. I love it. And in the midst of this is when Gan Fall wakes up and Sanji asks him, is Konus okay? Are they okay? And I love when he says, oh, I'm so glad. I was afraid she would never see me again. And I love how that's worded. It's not, I was afraid I would never see her again. I was afraid she would never see me again. And Gan Fall is watching all of this revelry. And then he says, I heard your conversation about how the island used to be known as the name Jaya, but I believe you have yet to hear the story of how this island on which we sit came to be known as such holy ground. And then we get the whole story. And as that starts, we cut to like Loki being yelled at by Viper. He's saying, are you here to sabotage us and slow us down? Sir, you need to tone the paranoia down and get a hold of yourself. This guy, he's like, we need to get to God's shrine and we're never going to make it. And she's like, I know that. And I know apologizing isn't going to do anything. So just give it back to me. It's not even mine. It's Isa's. And they begin to like fight over it. And she's grabbing it. And he's yanking it away from her, and Kamakiri steps in here, even though he's injured, and basically grabs Viper by the arm and is like, okay, you guys need to chill the fuck out. It is the best time to strike the upper yard because of the fact that what's-his-face has been taken out, Satori. And we should attack tomorrow at first light. So that is their plan going forward here. And I don't know, apparently like Kamakiri is kind of either more like important than he seemed initially, or he's just enough of a badass that even Viper is willing to listen to him. I'm just unclear because he seems to really hold some sway in this scene. And I hadn't gotten that feeling from him earlier. So, you know, and I'm not mad about that at all because somebody needs to be here to sort of tone down Viper because he's clearly not going to fucking listen to Loki. But yeah, so we get the very, very start of the conversation from Gan Fall, but this is like towards the end of the episode. And really all he starts off telling them is like explaining about how the clouds can sustain life that is planted in it, but it can't generate new life. And so this, you know, this is all considered sacred to us. This is what everybody desires, is like more of this to be able to grow crops and have abundance and yada, yada, yada. And pretty much that runs into the end of the episode. So then we go to enter God Eneru, farewell to the survivors. And this is when we meet Eneru, who is so weird looking. We have had so many characters who have a bizarre sort of look because of the costumes that they're wearing. But Eneru's got like a body vibe thing going on that I don't know what to think, because first of all, he has this like ring of symbols that's like encircling his body in a way that seems like he's in like being orbited by these things. And it looks like they're attached to his body. I may be wrong, and it might be like attached to like the waistband of his pants, but he's got no shirt on. So that's why I've been sort of assuming it's attached to his actual body because he can't wear a shirt. And I might be just making that up. And then he's also got like really, really long earlobes that drape almost to his waist. I don't know why that grosses me out so much, you guys, but I will tell you what, I am uncomfortable. I don't like that one single little bit. It feels so like flaccid is really the only like word I can use to describe it. And I am assuming that there's something with this guy that he has eaten a devil fruit, and maybe these things are a manifestation of whatever it is that he ate. But I can't figure out, like, it's so frequent that Oda has a character's appearance have almost nothing to do with what their devil fruit power is, that I don't even want to begin going down that road because I am not certain that's going to be relevant in any way. So I don't know. Let's see. Fun fact, Eneru is based on American rapper Eminem. What? What? Eneru is way too, like, chill and put together for Eminem. Weird. Okay. Florian then said he's based on a musician. Can you guess who? Sorry, Florian. The wheel thing is implanted where his wings should be. The long earlobes are a Buddhist thing. Okay. I have seen the long earlobes on Buddhas, so I know what you're saying. Okay. Still, though. Okay, so that's partially because he's meant to be like a god. Okay. The ring of drums. That's what Gus calls them. Oh, they're drums. Interesting. I don't know what to make of this dude, because he is honestly has the kind of energy that feels sort of appealing. There's something about him that I'm kind of like, I don't even want to be mad at this guy. You know what I'm saying? Because he just seems like we haven't seen him actively being vicious to anybody. He's just out here giving orders, which I know is worse. But because I haven't seen him do anything, he's just out here reclining on this like divan and being like, well, guys, seems like they know about the gold. Makes sense, I guess. And there isn't a moment of rage from him about anything. It's all so relaxed that a part of me is just like, maybe this god isn't so bad. Look how chill he is. I don't know. I found that kind of fun. But yeah, he has basically like called the priests back so that he is going to tell them about the real danger here, because they are fucking fighting and squabbling amongst themselves outside the like sort of temple, I guess I want to call it, because they get summoned by him and they don't go in right away. And at one point, what is his name? Shuya? Trying to remember the mustache man's name. Shura. It's Shura, right? He is saying something to them about like, just let me unleash my full power. You bunglers are always getting in my way. And there's something about the way that he said that, let me unleash my full power, that made me very curious, because he says it to them. He doesn't say it to Eneru, as if they are preventing him somehow, or they have like all made an agreement. I don't know. It's a weird moment that made me go like, wait, what are you even talking about? And let's see, maybe it's time for me to teach you what the true meaning of power is if you think you've got the guts. They're just all like getting in each other's faces. Let's see if you can handle the ordeal of iron. And your ordeal of iron couldn't even test the strength of a child. Everybody calm down. My ordeal of swamp is the ultimate challenge. Try that if you're not too afraid. Everybody. Everybody, stop it. Calm down. So there's these two dudes, one of whom comes out and is like, Gadasu, you're crossing your arms wrong. Another guy who is like, God is here. You're in his presence. So why don't you conduct yourself properly? And one of them is like, well, if he's really here, then why doesn't he show himself? And then all of a sudden there is a crack of lightning. And this motherfucker just appears and says, surprise, boys, and like strikes them all. It is really quite an entrance. And he does like a bunch of flippy flips, sends them absolutely careening to the other side of this sort of like courtyard, I guess. And I like can't tell. I guess that the lightning power is the devil fruit power, I suppose. But also, he seems to know what's going on all the time. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys what. Because everybody is talking about, like, the vibe of him. Do you know who he reminded me of? And I think this may have unfairly influenced the way that I see him to make it slightly more positive. He gives me Ethan from Cradle vibes a little bit. Like, Ethan at his worst. Do you get what I'm saying? Aphid when he's being like kind of his most insufferable. But there's definitely a sort of energy from him that seems like he can see a lot. And Ethan has that bloodline power. And that felt like that to me. So, I don't know. And yeah, he lands on his little couch and is just like, you guys are getting slow and you are actually pretty pathetic. So if y'all's performance just now is indicative of how you guys are normally, y'all are just going to end up like Satori, however you say it. And then he explains to them about all of these, like, blue sea people who have come around to take the gold. And they all are like, wait, how do they know? So it's very clear these dudes are, if not blue sea people themselves, they at least know the value of gold. Because they want it. It seems like they are very possessive, but they don't seem to know actually where it is. It's not totally clear to me, but it seems like this might be sort of an either race to get to it, or that they might want to like follow our people once they realize that they have the map, and then just like swoop in and take everything from them somehow. And I'm just I don't have enough information about this, but it's very, very like interesting to me about everybody's like motivations and how dissimilar they are, because they're searching for gold and like the blue sea guys are all talking about gold with Gan Fall. And one of the episodes ends with Gan Fall just being like, so guys, tell me what's gold. And that was sort of my question once we realized what was going on here and like Nami put the map together. I was wondering, okay, if all of these people consider the dirt so sacred, I'm going to guess they wouldn't be mad about you guys just running off with all the gold, because that's not the part that's important to them. This was, of course, before I realized that they had stolen the land from, the, what are they called? People. So now it's a whole different story. But at the time I was like, well, I guess nobody would mind if you just came and like treasure hunted and took off with all this gold, because it does not seem like that's of value to them. And then it turns out it's not only not really of value, they don't even know what it is. So I don't know, maybe it's better if you don't explain what gold is to people who don't already know, because then they could start valuing it, and we don't want that. Just let them not know what they're missing. It's fine. And he says, everybody has your own area to defend, but tomorrow I will allow you to go where you will, set up deals wherever you want. There will be no restrictions. Get as vicious as you like. And they're like, well, why are you being so generous? And he says, because I am pleased to announce that the Maxim is almost complete, so it's time to put an end to this wretched island and set forth on a journey to the world of our dreams. What is that? Everybody has these friggin' worlds that they want to go to. There are so many worlds within worlds. How? Why isn't this place good enough for you? And what's a Maxim? Why is that gonna get you wherever you need to go? And in the meantime, why don't you want people getting to this gold? Do you need that for whatever it is that you're trying to do even? Or if you're heading to a new world, do they need gold? Is that valuable to them? Do they even know that? Are these people from there and trying to get back? I don't feel like that's it, because then it wouldn't be the world of our dreams. It would just be getting home again, I suppose. I don't know. But okay, so there's this whole thing with Sanji. No, my bad, not Sanji. I keep saying his name when I mean Usopp. I don't know why. But Usopp, in the middle of the night, sees somebody repairing the Going Merry. And he sort of wonders if it's a dream. And he wakes up and it is repaired. And in the, evening fog, he couldn't see who had done it. And he gets kind of creeped out because he's a coward. So, of course. And I am assuming that it's Pagaya and Konus who are repairing it, because we know that they basically were like, we have to do something to help, and then set out, and we haven't seen them since. So that's who I am thinking is doing the repairs. But I am not clear on why they aren't being open about the fact that they're doing it, unless it's supposed to be that their god Eneru would see them, and so they're trying to keep it secret because they don't want to be punished. Because part of the way, as Gan Fall explains later, that Eneru has broken the spirit of the Skypiea people is through guilt and making them do things and punishing them for committing sins, essentially. So it could just be that they're trying to hide from the eyes of their god, which I just can't figure out how somebody becomes a god when, Gan Fall, as far as I can tell, doesn't have any powers beyond being a really good fighter that would make him a god. Did he sacrifice his ability? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything about this dude. Gus says, how would Pagaya know that the Merry isn't supposed to be rooster themed, though? Yeah, that's true. I don't know. Maybe he didn't know and he just took the wings off because he was like, this is ugly. What are you doing? And I think Sanji at one point says something like, I hate to say it, but the repairs aren't that good. Which, sir, first of all, how about you don't look a gift horse in the mouth? But also, just the idea that he would be standing there after somebody did them this massive favor and just say, it's not that good, though. Just, why would you just shush, sir? And it's so weird because, Zoro keeps trying to convince Usopp that he isn't that he didn't actually see anything. And I'm like, Zoro, the ship is repaired. What do you think is going on then? If he didn't see what he saw, like, how did this happen? It's just a weird thing for him to argue about and, like, be sort of, like, condescending about. What? Then do you have an alternative explanation for how this has all happened, sir? What do you mean? And this is when we get to the final section of the sort of, like, two things that are going on. One is that Usopp and Chopper are trying to figure out a way to get the Going Merry off of the sacrificial altar. Because, a reminder, it is very high in the air above the water. Initially, they try to tow their ship using the little crow ship. Does not work. And then Sanji is like, I have a new plan. And poor Chopper is like, of course I'll do anything. And I'm like, Chopper, babe, do you not see the look on Usopp's face right now as he is saying, I have a plan? Do you not see that this is going to spell out no good for you? And as soon as he, like, shows the fishing line, I was like, oh my God, he's going to use Chopper as bait. And Chopper takes a while to catch on to the fact that that is what is happening. I need Chopper to, like, go to some TED Talks about building up his self-worth, because Chopper is just getting taken advantage of too often, and it's hurting my heart. But what Usopp is trying to do here is harness the power of the cloud sharks in order to get the Going Merry off of the, off of the sacrificial altar. So he is on the, like, crow ship using Chopper as bait, trying to get a shark to, like, pull them. And poor Chopper, the actress who is playing Chopper, I have to say, is honestly really, like, almost too convincing with the screaming, because there are a couple points where Chopper's screams are genuinely upsetting, and I was just like, my God. And it works. It actually gets the Going Merry off of the thing and gets dragged down the steps and into the water, so to speak. But poor Chopper is, like, basically traumatized forever because of his experience. And I love that even after they get the ship off, he's still out there and being used as bait and has to be like, can you please bring me in? That would be great. Thank you. On land, he begins a walk through the woods with Zoro and oh my God, Luffy. Holy shit, you guys. And Nico. And when they're walking through the woods, he keeps talking about how it's not as scary as I expected it to be. And there is, like, this massive snake that he sees. And he tells himself, I can't tell them that it's a snake. Or I can't tell them that I saw this weird striped root, because they will only laugh at me. And I have to be brave right now. Yet again, can we get some training for this guy to have a little bit more confidence? Because if you just told your friends about this, maybe it wouldn't have wound up being so bad. But he causes all of them to be at the mercy of this fucking snake, which it turns out has, like, what's the word I want? It has, like, acid saliva. Guys, we didn't need to add acid saliva snakes to the mix. How come we got this going on now? I don't want this. There's already too many threats. What are we doing? And I was so confused initially, because they see the, like, snake bite the tree, and the tree begins to, like, disintegrate. And I was like, wait, what is going on? And it took me too long to understand. Everybody else got it right away. And I was like, oh my God. So even Zoro, who had been like, whatever, I'll fight this fucking snake. Fuck this snake. Who cares? starts to be like, okay, you know what? Never mind. Maybe we just need to get the hell back to the Going Merry. So once we have like, though they're out in the woods, but when we go back to the rest of the crew, they are talking to Gan Fall, and this is when he is telling them the real story about what happened with Jaya and the fact that they are the bad guys, essentially. And he keeps, Usopp keeps being like, wait, so you guys are the bad guys? And Pierre keeps like biting him and like crushing his head. And I was just like, but Pierre, he's right though. So, and he says, since the Divine Squad have shown up, oh wait, no, I'm trying to say, because like, he appeared from another sky island leading a group of warriors. They dealt a heavy blow to my Divine Squad and to the Shandorans. Then they seized control of the upper yard. That was 6 years ago. Since then, almost all of the Divine Squad have been enslaved and forced to perform some mysterious labor. I don't know what it is. But the Shandorans don't care who God is. They want what they've always wanted, the return of their homeland. Okay, so I had missed the fact that they come from another sky island. But it's interesting, they come from another sky island, and they're apparently like a very different... They're powered differently, because we haven't seen anybody with these kinds of abilities in the communities that we've been walked through with like Konus and Pagaya and whatnot. But maybe they just didn't turn up and they are out there. Also, I kind of find it funny that he calls his like people the Divine Squad, because since the other dudes are priests, they kind of feel like they should be called the Divine Squad, but that's fine. And he says the Shandorians, despite the fact that they like share an enemy with the priests and Eneru, they still think of the Divine Squad as enemies and will eliminate them on sight. So they may have mistaken you for them. And I love Sanji just being like, oh, well, that's fine then, which I did think was kind of funny. And so, yeah. There is no place on the upper yard that outlaws would be able to avoid Eneru's eye. And this dude, apparently, this like whole thing with the Maxim isn't over. Or is he, that's like what he's been working on and using these guys for this whole time. Because if it hadn't been for him saying that, I would have thought that he was using them to like try and find the gold or whatever. I don't know. Maybe that is part of the thing. I don't know. But yeah, so I like this. I like this backstory. I think that this is really interesting. I appreciate that Gan Fall is just going to tell them the truth about the responsibility that he holds in taking these people's territory away. And Viper wants him to just like kill some innocent people to sort of prove that he's sorry, which is sort of a weird like power play that doesn't actually make sense. But when you're mad enough at somebody for injustices, I can understand just being like, well, you've got to sacrifice fucking something, you know? So yeah, I don't know. Sorry, Gus is saying, but Isa has mantra though, right? I have not seen any evidence of that. I don't know. Gus, I feel like you're asking questions this episode and last episode that are about future episodes. You gotta check into that stuff before you ask. I don't remember, like, I might be wrong, and maybe I missed that, but I don't remember that coming up at all this episode. We don't even see her in these three. She's talked about, but we don't actually see her. But anyway, okay, I'm over time. I really have to wrap, but thank you guys again very much for hanging out with me. Really enjoying this arc. And thank you again to Gabriela for commissioning this one. And I will be seeing you soon with a new episode. Until then, toodaloo, motherfuckers.
was an Unspoiled Network podcast.